Hello, everyone. Welcome to our next episode of our long-term Cincinnati Reds playthrough. We are at the All-Star game slash first-year player draft. Um, we are much better than I think I anticipated when I was going to make this mid-season update. We are 45 and 44 at the midway point. Let's check out the standings. Let's see where we're at, who's playing well. Um, Baltimore winning the AL East. Minnesota and Kansas City, surprisingly, are your top two in the Central, and in the West, Seattle's running away with the division. This division's actually not terrible. This is a pretty good division, except for Oakland. NL East, Atlanta is up big on the Mets, who are up big on the Phillies. The Cardinals and the Reds, that's us, we are tied for first in the division. We have a -2 run differential, which was a lot worse than it was about a month ago. The Cardinals are just barely positive, and the rest of the division looks like pretty much hot garbage, right? Um, we are positive at home. We're slightly under away. 5-3 in extra innings, 7-9 in one-run games. I made some moves to address that, and then we're at the All-Star game. 12-12 against lefties. I made a move to address that. I made a bunch of moves. I was just making a bunch of trades because I like to make deals before the deadline. I like to have as much run time with my additions as possible. So we'll get into those as well. And then back in the West, the Padres, Dodgers, Diamondbacks, and Giants are all good. We made a big deal with the Giants, so who knows if that's going to stick, but let's get into that. Um, Front office, organization, transactions log. So we just did a lot today. We're at the 11th. Um, we got Andrew Chafin. This was my first decision. The bullpen was not as good as I kind of had hoped it could be. And it still overperformed. So this was my first move to try and solidify that bullpen a bit, and he's been great so far. He's only pitched 7 innings, no earned, 4 hits, 4 walks, 11 strikeouts. So already paying dividends. He's been really good for us, and we didn't give up much. We gave up minor league first baseman Jack Rogers and Nick Solak, who's the only player who would have possibly seen time. He didn't play for us this year, but this was an easy deal to make. A lot of player movements around here. Not a whole lot going on. Oswaldo Cabrera, we got him from the Yankees for nothing. I don't know why they would have done this, but I guess they needed a reliever in the bullpen. He was a ground ball pitcher. He wasn't pitching for us. He's pitched actually pretty well for the Yankees. That's nice. So it seems like a win-win so far. But Cabrera has been really good for us. He's had a 120 OPS plus. He's been worth 1.1 WAR, and he's played mostly second base, I think. Um, Actually, a little bit of right and second for us at least. Where are we? Oh, he's only played right. That's weird. Okay. Oh, and short. I don't know why I can't read this today. This is all this year. He's played second. He's played some third. He's played some short, and he's played some right for us at least. So very versatile player. He can kind of go anywhere I need, but he's been playing second. Uh, Noelvi Marte on the minor league injured list. And so we just made a bunch of trades. If you look, here's one, here's one, here's one, and here's one. So we've made 4 big trades. Where I want to see, not the whole transaction. Okay, all right. I guess we'll go through this way. So the first one I did was this. Nope, this one, Christian Walker. He's had a rough season for Arizona, which I think is due to have some positive regression in the second half. Our first base, Joey Votto's been fine at first, but some of the minor league guys have not really panned out as well as I'd hoped. Some of those minimum guys. So I made the deal, and I just used some extra prospect capital to kind of pay down his contract. So I still have plenty of wiggle room. We gave up Pedro Alfonseca. He was not going to play for us. He's got a good defensive profile, but this bat will probably never develop. Oh no, Christian Walker. This dude, Jacques Pouchot, could be a reliever, um, but with this fly ball pitcher, and he's still, these aren't as good as you would want, so he's not gonna play for us. But it looks like he's up with the Diamondbacks right now. So Eduardo Salazar, same kind of deal. He's looks like he's also up with the Diamondbacks. And then Ruben Ibarra was the only kind of sort of prospect. This home run power and this eye look fine, but nothing else is probably going to pop. So it looked like it was just mostly a salary dump. I tried to get him probably about a month ago, and their demand was sky high, and I thought, let me jump on this right now. So we got Christian Walker. That was the first big deal to kind of not necessarily platoon with Joey Votto, but to be around Joey Votto. Our next deal was this one. We needed some starting pitching help, and Alex Cobb was the move. He is fragile, and he hasn't had the greatest season, but being an extreme ground baller in Cincinnati with the defense we've built, I think he'll be much better. So he slotted in, I think, right now as our number one starter, which is fine. We don't need a whole lot from our starting pitchers because we completely rebuilt our bullpen. So we got him. We got the Giants to retain 100% of his contract this year, and he's got a $10 million team option next year. So we'll see how he does, and we'll see whether we exercise that. So we got him, and arguably the better part of this deal, Camilo Doval, extreme ground baller, crazy movement, great stuff, fine control, and he's on a minimum. I think he's arbitration next year. Yeah, so we got Camilo Doval in the back end of our bullpen. And we didn't give up I shouldn't say that. We gave up some depth pieces. Kevin Newman, who's had a great season for us, he was, I know I talked a little bit down on him in our preseason video, but he's had a great season. He was really good. He got hurt early. Yeah, he tore his hamstring. So I signed Andrelton Simmons, of course. So he just kind of felt redundant on this roster. And if I could get this kind of value, I thought it was a fine deal. Nick Senzel, longtime prospect, he went to San Francisco in the deal. Decent versatility. You can play him everywhere, truthfully. But again, it was just a bunch of depth consolidation, it felt, to try and fill some holes. Luke Maley, who's having a great season for AAA, he had a 140 OPS plus, which I thought is probably due for some regression. And Nicholas Northcutt, who seems like a decent prospect. This power looks good. This eye looks good, and with a little bit of TCR, he could really pop. And he was having a great season at High A, but he's also 24. So this was, and again, no real defensive home. So this seemed like an easy deal to make. If I could get Camilo Doval, Alex Cobb for that, that's such a good deal for me. So I did it. Our next deal was not Christian Walker, not Doval and Cobb. It was with the White Sox. So we got Aaron Bummer, who is an extreme ground baller. If you can see the theme here, we got him. So we got him. Joe Kelly, also an extreme ground baller. Let's get a scouting report with great movement. Garrett Crochet, not an extreme ground baller, but really good reliever profile and good stamina, so that way he can probably be a stopper for us. And Yasmani Grandal to back up our catching position, who was also having a great season. Defensively, at least his bat's been fine. His glove has been great. In exchange for just a bunch of minor league, this is a decent pitching prospect, I think. Really good slider, good sinker, average changeup. He's probably the best part of this deal. Bryce Bonin, who's a pitching prospect, but I thought moving him for this deal was also fine. Tanner Cooper, a whole lot of nothing. Sorry if you're watching that, Tanner Cooper. Kurt Casale, our current backup catcher, who's probably due for some regression as well. Good leader ability, but Yasmani Grandal was, I felt, was more of a sure thing. Victor Acosta, a real prospect. He was a shortstop prospect for us. Small sample size in rookie ball this year. He came over in a deal for Brandon Drury. That was the deal. So we sent him out. Brandon Williamson, also a good pitching prospect. So this deal felt like the least cheesy, I think. I sent out real prospects. None of them were great, and I could see the White Sox kind of taking a um a uh, a sum of prospects rather than one big one. I could see them taking this kind of deal for this most of their major league roster, to be honest. Matthew Nelson, who looks like a decent catching prospect, and Thomas Farr, a decent pitching prospect. So all of the, for me at least, this was like um, a big prospect consolidation, and trying to upgrade my bullpen, and I think it worked. These three relievers are going to be great in Cincinnati. Yasmani Grandal is if something happens to Tyler Stevenson, I'm fine with Grandal. I think I need a better third string catcher because I sent him away as well. I sent Luke Maley away in the Giants deal. So I think I need a third string catcher, but that's like a very minor issue, I think. And then this deal was really just freeing up 40-man spots. We got Spencer Packard, who I immediately waived and designated. Not because I don't think he's good, but I don't feel the need to put him on the 40-man when it's already kind of bloated. And we got Jared Kelenic because they just kind of, I don't know why, to be honest. That I clicked make it work. This was a guy they felt like throwing in, and as I've said in my Met sim, I feel like my trade difficulty is high enough that it doesn't really matter to me what this deal does. Like for whatever reason, he's been playing in AAA, right? For whatever reason, they could feel like dealing him, and it's not up to me to make the decision whether the AI would make this deal, right? So we gave Justin Dunn back to Seattle, who was in that original Kellenic deal for Edwin Diaz. Uh, wait, Packard, yeah. We gave up Luke Weaver, who was doing a whole lot of nothing for us. He had a 6 ERA and 52 innings at the major league level. Luke Weaver, Chase Anderson, who was not going to pitch for us, also a 6 ERA in AAA. Zach Brown, who was not going to pitch for us, probably. His extreme ground ball was great, but that did not translate as he had a 5 walk per 9, 1.4 bomb per 9, and he was worth 0.4 WAR in 44 innings for us. So that I probably gave him more run than I should have. And Carson Spires, he was a fly ball pitcher. This seemed like probably the best part of the deal for them, in my opinion. He had a 1 WAR in AAA, which is pretty good. But so this was just consolidation. Kellenic is going to go down to AAA, hopefully develop a little bit. And if he stays hot as this at least, then he's going to make our decisions tough. So I guess the question is, what does our team actually look like now? Because I know I said I'm going to leave it alone, but being at 500 and in a very weak division, I thought that this would be a good attempt to make a run at a playoff berth. I don't remember. We're tied with the Cardinals, I think. The Cardinals are not lighting the world on fire themselves. And so I think we have a real shot in this division, and none of these moves really sacrifice the future. It was all pretty much just marginal moves, but all these marginal moves I think are going to add up. So what does our team look like now? Alex Cobb, Hunter Green, Brad Keller. We made a deal for him too. Let's hit that. Lucas Sims. That's it. Lucas Sims. I like this profile. This is a great profile. But it was mostly just his extreme fly ball will work much better in Kansas City, and I needed a starting pitcher, so Brad Keller was the move. He's had a really good season for Kansas City so far, despite that 4.72 ERA. And yeah, so here's Brad Keller. I think that's fine. Graham Ashcraft has had a good season for us. Not great, but good. So if we have a way to upgrade his slot, we will. But again, we love the extreme ground ballers here. And Raver San Martin, extreme ground baller, lots of pitches. So he's had a really good season too, which was very surprising, not expected at all. So I'm content with that for now. But if we get a chance to upgrade between now and the deadline, we're gonna do it. Um, Doval, Caleb Ferguson was an early trade for Justin Brule uh, and money. And we got Justin Brule and money for Luis Sessa, who got rocked in his short time in Cincinnati. He has been probably just as bad in LA. Yep, he has. Um, and we gave up TJ Friedel, which was the move I thought would be the one to come back and bite me, but we had a kind of a logjam in the outfield, and he was the most expendable. And if I could get this good quality back end reliever, I was going to do it. So we got Caleb Ferguson. He's in arbitration next season. I think I kind of want him. Whatever. We'll figure it out. Garrett Crochet, we talked about him. Silvino Bracco has had a really good season for us. He was our closer before we got Ferguson, and he's just been really, really good. Nothing special here, but good. Don't like the extreme fly ball, but it hasn't burned him yet. Andrew Chafin, we talked about. Joe Kelly, we talked about. Alexis Diaz he's an extreme fly baller, and his movement is average, so he has not really pitched great. So we might look to move him. Despite this, this is pretty interesting, but unless this movement and this control gets some good TCR, then I think we're gonna look to move him. But maybe not this year because he's been pretty good for us, but maybe next. And then Aaron Bummer. This is just what Joe Madden decided to do with this bullpen. I don't know. I'm probably just going to pretty much leave this to him. I think he'll deploy it fine. And then in our lineup, Mr. Michael Ciani has had a special rookie season. He's only got a 100 OPS plus, perfectly average, but his defense has been worth 3 WAR. And he's just been a really, really good special outfielder in Cincinnati, which is nice. You know, even with a smaller ballpark where balls fly, you still need good outfield defense. Jake Fraley has been great. He's been a really good bat, a really good defender, really good player. Stuart Fairchild, very similar to Mr. Jake Fraley. Really good, slightly older outfielders, but they've been putting it together for us, which is great. Tyler Stevenson, he cooled off a little bit, but he's still having a really nice season overall. Positive offensive catcher, decent defensive catcher, really happy. And he was an all-star. He was one of our 2 all-stars. The other one kind of doesn't make any sense, but it was Alejo Lopez. Alejo Lopez was a 2023 all-star with a 115 OPS plus, 1 WAR, and 4 home runs. So I don't really know how that happened, why we ended up with 2 all-stars, and one of them was him, but I'm not going to complain. He's been good. Not great, but good. Spencer Steer, good. Not great, but good. The rest of this offense is pretty much not great, but good. Yasmani Grandal, new deadline pickup. Joey Votto, positive bat. We take that at 39 years old, and he was not good in 2022 anyway, in a very short sample size. So Joey Votto being positive is great. Will Myers has been a really good bat in limited time. He's got a 140 OPS plus. I think he's mostly just like a lefty specialist right now. Oh no, he's been great against righties too, but limited exposure, and I think we're gonna keep it that way, just to try and keep the magic going a little bit. But he's due for some probable regression. Andrelton Simmons, terrible offensive player, really good defensive shortstop. Whatever, we're not looking for his bat. Nick Martini just called up with a lot of these moves. He's got a OPS plus of 1,180 because he's had 1 at bat and 1 home run. Christian Encarnacion Strand was so bad for much of the early part of the season. If we look in March, he was worth -1 WAR, -0.1 WAR, -0.4 in April, and then May and June he's picked it up. Most of this I think was the minors. Yeah, so -0.4 WAR through April, and then he picked it up in June, and July. So he's now back in the positive, but still not great. This is an interesting profile. We're going to let him kind of play it out a little bit. And Christian Walker, we just traded for, who I think is going to pop. So that's pretty much the team for now. Down in AAA and the minors in general, our prospects are playing well. Matt McLean's been playing well. Will Benson's been good. Ellie De La Cruz has been good. We're just building some defensive versatility, and he could be a really good defensive first baseman. And then who else is down here? Oh, Jonathan India has been really bad at the major league level. We're missing Edwin Arroyo has been good down in AA and High A. He's been good, so he's exciting. And I love the infield range. He could be our future shortstop, defensively at least. And then who is the other prospect who's hurt? Oh, Noel V. Marte. Really good AA season. Then I manually promoted him to AAA. He's been fine offensively, and we're again working on the defensive versatility. He could be a player that I end up dealing, but he looks really good for now. He's still only 21. So that's the team. Oswaldo Cabrera is on the IL, and then I don't know who either of these guys are. Sorry. Connor Phillips is a young. I didn't even know this guy was here. So yeah, so that's the team for now. I think we're at the draft, so we'll play through the draft. This is our midseason update. Our next episode will be the draft. We'll see where we are, see how this team is looking. But I'm really excited. This was a much better first season, and it could be fool's gold, right? Everybody could start regressing. This could be like a really terrible year. So we might try and make a splash. I don't think I have enough for like Ohtani or Wheeler or that kind of player, but we could look for a superstar by the trade deadline and see if that can supplement the existing roster, because that's pretty much just what it is right now is existing roster supplementation. We don't have that much money. We only have 8 million this year, and not that much for next year. So yeah, so next episode we'll play through the draft. We'll see where we're at. So thanks for watching, everyone, and I will see you in the next episode.